Good afternoon. My name's Darren Crawley, and I'd like to welcome you to today's partner webinar hosted by Cloud for Partners here at Ascari. I'm the partner account manager for the 750 plus Business One resellers that are presently representing SAP Business One globally. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you today our friends at Sharperlight, who are renowned across that community of partner resellers for providing state-of-the-art business intelligence tools that integrate seamlessly with SAP Business One, but allow users of SAP Business One to utilize their technology very easily and very simply on account of the out-of-the-box solution that is presented. It's a great product, well respected and well known throughout the global B1 partner network, and we are delighted today to have Donald Wynn joining us, who I'll hand over to shortly, who is the business analytics architect for Sharperlight. Before I hand over to Donald, there's just a few housekeeping items I wanted to make you aware of today. First and foremost, the timing of the webinar is between 20 to 30 minutes. Normally it tends to be around about the 20-minute mark, with a 5 to 10 minute opportunity for a Q&A at the end of the broadcast. All delegates at the moment are in listen-only mode, so all delegates are on mute. However, during the course of the webinar, you will find the opportunity to post questions either through the chat box feature on your GoToWebinar interface, or indeed there's a specific questions button as well. So feel free to pitch any questions through either to myself or to Donald during the course of the webinar, and at the end we'll have a brief wrap up. So leading on to today's session, I just wanted to give you a little bit more information about the agenda. So as you can see, there's a handful of areas that we'll focus on today. Giving you a very brief snapshot, of course, on the actual technology itself and how flexible it is, and also looking at ease of use, so how drag and drop can be utilized. And one of the features certainly is the Excel add-in, which I know is very popular amongst B1 users and partners who sell B1 globally. We'll also give you a little bit more insight into the Sharperlight web channel as well. And as I mentioned already, we'll have a brief Q&A at the end. So without further ado, I'd just like to hand over the reins to my colleague Donald, and we'll be able to progress shortly.
Oh, thank you very much. What a wonderful presentation. Getting me all started. Okay, so I just wanted to start off with some of the basic concepts and briskly go through and just look at some of the sort of capabilities around Sharperlight, keep it very neat and very tight. I was going to use Excel as a starting point. Sometimes there's a bit of a mindset that, oh, you know, is it just an Excel-based reporting tool? No, it's not. It's got capabilities around the web, but Excel is a very popular element to the suite. It allows both reporting capabilities. It also allows what we call write back, where you can actually bulk upload data out of Excel back to SAP Business One using the SAP BI API. So that's all seamless in the background. It's basically Sharperlight has an interface which basically reads you through the process of uploading it, and if there's errors, it actually tells you, things like that. The reporting side of Sharperlight in Excel, it's based around formulas. So if you can build a formula in Excel, it's formulas with that sort of ilk. But the key thing is with Sharperlight, and what I've just opened up here, is what we call the query builder. So the query builder is the interface we use and our customers use to author and build queries out of SAP Business One. Now, I guess the thing to consider here is that SAP Business One is a very large system. There's lots of capabilities, there's different modules in it. You could be doing entry into banking and sales and purchasing, down to human resources and timesheeting and production and things like that. The data model that comes out of the box with Sharperlight covers all these main areas natively. It also covers custom tables and custom fields that might be added to a SAP Business One implementation. So they're available through this reporting layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off and just create a simple little report, because I think the best way to actually appreciate how it works is to actually build something so you can see. So I'm using the query interface. I've referenced my company to the underlying sheet. So getting back to what I said about with Excel, the query builder understands how Excel works. It understands that there's cell referencing. Therefore, you can actually cell reference your filters to the underlying sheet, which gives you the advantage that you can actually change the filters on the sheet, and you can refresh these queries without having to actually go through and manually edit the formulas. So it's very quite seamless in that respect. So I've built a very simple little query. I won't go into too much detail, but it's basically I've said I want to get the GL transactions. I've got a couple of filters by account and period, and I've outputted my account code and my account name. And I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to go away. It's going to say what I want to call the query. I'll just accept the default. And it's extracted that information into our Excel spreadsheet. So this is an Excel table, but Sharperlight has a formula at the top, which we call the anchor formula, and it's actually returning that data into that table. Now, if I was to go up here and change one of these cells and hit enter, you can actually see that that's flickering, because the formula is actually linked, and like normal cell dependencies in Excel, by changing that cell, it's actually refreshing that query and re-extracting the data. So it uses automatic recalculation. That's re-extracting that information. At any time, you could go back and actually look at the query. You could modify it if you wanted to. So the query builder is still there. It's in the background, but it's effectively hidden behind that formula. Now, with tables in Excel, if we can double click on it, we can also open up the query builder from there. But we've also got some interesting sort of capabilities. We can actually drill down on this table, because effectively it's a data set coming out of Sharperlight, and Sharperlight understands the data structure in SAP Business One. So if I want to drill down on it by accounting period, which is just done. So I started with 255,000, give or take. And you can see there that it's taken that value, but it's sliced it into the various periods. So that is a live query, a live slice directly over this database. And that's really the key sort of benefit that you get around with Sharperlight, that the data model exposes this sort of capability and allows you to interact with a live system very, very easily. Now, a couple of key things to understand there is that this capability is done through a web service. So you don't actually have to have the server sitting next to you. You can quite happily host your server in the cloud, and you can connect to Sharperlight through this and actually do, everything you're doing here, even though your installation is somewhere else in the world. It's secure, it's authenticated. I haven't gone through the login process, so I was already logged in, but it effectively secures the transmission of data and allows you remote access to it. Now, building reports in Excel, we can come back and talk about that a little bit more, but I just wanted to give you a little touch of the different parts of the suite. So let's say we've built this query and we're particularly proud of it. It does something fairly significant. And we're going to take this query and actually make it available to a larger group of people, because Excel in its own right is a little bit limited because it's just an Excel spreadsheet. Whereas this case here, I'm going to take this query and push it into what we call Publisher. Now, Publisher is effectively a shared catalog of published queries which are available in the web. So they're made available through our web service. So when you actually install Sharperlight, or when it's hosted in the cloud, it actually comes with a web service as part of the standard product. Now, it's going to take the query that I actually created in Excel and just copy it straight across. So I don't actually have to re-enter it or change it. And it's basically got that query. It's just refreshing my, my list of queries that I've got available. Now that I've actually created that query, I can actually view that query in a web browser. So I've just said view report. It's actually opening up a web browser, and it's going straight to that report. Now, it's got the filters that we had in Excel. So we had company, account, and period. And it's just going to go and refresh it. So it's just refreshing it now, and it's extracting the data. Now, if you look at that, if I just drag that over and you've got the table in the background, it's exactly the same query. So it's a common query language. And I can take that query and reuse it in the web. But when it's in the web, it's still a live query. So by changing the filters, if I want to actually change the filters to, let's say, period 2 and hit submit, it will actually rerun that query and refresh with the latest data. So if I was to post a new journal and hit refresh, you'd actually see the result of that change. So in the web interface, there's a number of different sort of capabilities. You know, you can chart the data. So let's say, for example, we want to chart this. So we'll actually present it as a line chart. So I've got a nice little line chart. That's HTML5, and it's resizable. So depending on the size of the page, it'll adjust accordingly. And this sort of content will work on any sort of modern browser. So whether it be Safari, Firefox, Chrome is what I'm using here, or Internet Explorer or Edge. So it's standard, and it's zero footprint in the browser. Now, one of the interesting concepts that we've got is we've had this web reporting, which is made possible through Publisher. We also have the capability to actually generate our own dashboards. So if I just go to our index page, and I'll just quickly create a dashboard just to give you a bit more of a broader feel for what we can do. Okay. And I won't go into detail on this. This is basically just a main landing page. I'm just going to quickly create a dashboard. I've created it. It's going to refresh the list, show me what the dashboard's called. There's my new dashboard, and I can go straight to that dashboard. Okay, and I'm going to call it Demo Group AAA. Okay, so that's the name of my dashboard page. But what I'm really interested in, I actually want to add something to a tile. So our dashboards are made up of pages, and then you can have multiple tiles on that. In this case here, I'm going to put a tile with the content that we just created, that query. And I'm going to add it as a line chart. And I'm just going to save it. And I know it's going to be a bit squished, so I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Just save that layout again. And then what we've got is that chart in a dashboard. And I can add additional tiles to the side and have a comprehensive, you know, I could have a table on the side, and I can have charts and layouts underneath it as well. And the dashboards you can actually bring together with reports. And that's something I'll be showing you towards the end, where you have a unified menu structure where you can actually see dashboards and reports together. But that just kind of gives you a bit of a flow of Sharperlight, of you can build something in Excel, but it's not just an Excel-based capability, it's a web-based tool for web reporting and also dashboarding as well. But just stepping back to Excel for a second. So you can output bulk tables, so bulk data sets. What you can also do is you can return what we call value formulas, which are basically intelligent sum formulas. So instead of bringing out a table, what I'm going to do is just create a value formula here on the side. So I'm going to use the same company and the same table. Okay, and the account code, I'm actually going to use the account codes from here, and the period I'm going to use up here on the side, and I'm going to output the amount. Name. Okay, so I've used exactly the same criteria, so the balance of that account is the same as what's coming out of that table. And if I drag this down, it's actually returning the same balances, but these are self-contained formulas. So this gives you the maximum sort of capability to actually construct a report in Excel. You can do it by a table, but you can return it as a cell-based report, which is really, really flexible and allows that maximum control on layout and control, well, basically maximum control on layout. You've still got the query in the background, so you can change that. And you've still got the drill down capability. So even though it's a self-contained formula, you can still drill down into it. So that doesn't go anywhere. It's still a standard bit of functionality. Now, these two examples here, these are effectively static reports in that you anchor a formula and they extract data. What we also have is the capability to create dynamic content. So we can actually take rows and columns and sheets and dynamically generate them out or automate them so they actually generate more rows. Now, in this case here, I've already pre-laid something out, and I'm just going to put in, so this is what we call a split row formula. So you can see there it says split row. It's generated a formula over here. And if I actually recalculate this worksheet, it starts with a parent sheet and then it generates a child sheet. And what it's done, based on that one single row that I had here, it's actually generated all the account combinations which exist between that account range that I've got there. So 400,000 to 5,100,000. Now, I won't go into the wheres, wherefores about how it actually does it. It's actually looking into the data model and working out the account structure. But you can build some very dynamic and flexible reports which expand and contract based on your reporting structure, based on the accounts that are actually being used month by month. And it allows you to split out individual sheets. So there's a lot of dynamicness built into that basic sort of concept, and it's all driven based on formulas. So there's no VBA, there's no macros or anything like that. It's a formula-based automation, which is quite unusual for a lot of these sort of tools. So, and it's very, very powerful, and our customers very much like it. Okay, so I don't want to belabor too much around the Excel interface. What I wanted to do is just step back to what we call the web channel. So the web channel, which is basically the browser-based interface, it's a lot more than just reporting. It's reporting and dashboards. So we call it a channel. There is also web data entry forms. So it's data entry. So web channel kind of fits quite nicely into the concept of a channel of information, which in reality is bidirectional. What we're looking at here is a fairly simple menu. The menu structure is actually a query built in Publisher with the layers of the different components that have been added into it. I've got a dashboard that's actually appearing by default, and I've actually got a slicer menu on the left-hand side. So if I only want to see the information related to OEC Computers UK, if I just click on that effectively menu, it will actually go away and re-extract that data just orientated to that company. So you can see there it's only one customer aging, and if you were a keen-eyed person, you will have noticed that the actual quantities actually change as well. So those sort of things are available in the web browser and allows you to reorientate the information based on the element that you're actually focusing on. Another sort of classic example that we actually provide through the web is reports where you may have a high level view of the information. So in this case here, I've actually got a chart at the very top of the page. And if I'm interested in a specific slice of that information, if I click on that slice, it actually orientates the grid beneath it to that specific slice. Now, all these are actually done through Publisher. So it's nothing to do with Excel, it's purely Publisher capability. And it's that Publisher interface that I briefly went into before, which you use to actually build these sort of layouts. These are more richer sort of examples, you know, there's lots of little subtleties to it. More often than not, the standard sort of reporting you see in the web browser is something like this. So it's effectively just a tabular report. Okay, I've got some sparkle lines in there, but it's really quite a straightforward report, quarterly, last year and this year. And it just happens to be split out based on multiple companies. Now, I could have just as easily written the report to just work for one company and show exactly the same style of report. The other thing that we actually do is we can allow you to do financial reporting, or as I quite often call it, structured reporting in the web. So profit and losses and balance sheets. So a lot of the people use the Excel add-in for that. And that's because that's where they've come from and they're very comfortable with that. But if you need to make it available, you know, make financial statements available to a large audience, actually doing it in Excel and then turning it into a PDF and emailing it around to people, you know, you lose the continuity because it's not live and it's refresh. So with this, you can actually build the report in the web. That's a web-based reporting tool. And the interesting side effect of this is because it's a web-based interface, you can actually take that report and bring it into Excel. So it's the reverse scenario. Rather than building something in Excel and pushing it to the web, you can actually do it as in take a web-based report, but bring it back into Excel. So you get the best of both worlds, because people say, oh, I've got that report, but I'd like it in Excel. And you go, not a problem. I can take exactly that report and turn it into a live formula in Excel. So that's just a little bit of a taster of the sort of capability around Sharperlight. There's just a couple of things that I just wanted to draw your attention to. The Excel add-in works with Office 2007 all the way up to Office 2019, basically everywhere between. Works with 32-bit Office and 64-bit version of Office. Sharperlight works with both SQL Server and SAP HANA, and it's the same data model that works with both. So if you build reports in SQL Server and you then migrate to SAP HANA, those same reports will work as well. I mentioned the write back before, so we actually use the SAP BI API to validate our write backs from within Excel. So it's secured and it's basically going through the SAP process to actually upload it. And that's basically the little taster that I wanted to give you of that sort of capability. The real, I guess, the secret sauce to the product is the data model, which is pre-built. So literally you can install Sharperlight, load the data model and point it at your system. And the configurations that you've already made, as in those custom fields and custom tables, are already there and they're available and ready to be used in reporting. Okay, I think that was my 20 minutes.
Thank you, Donald. That was a very insightful piece of presentation there, particularly to do with the power and capability of the Sharperlight toolkit. I do have some questions coming in, so bear with me. I'm just going to switch presenter rights, and then we can then sort of finish with a few questions and answers there. So bear with me one moment. So let's just go to the questions button. I've got Robin just asking a very brief question. Can you run consolidated reports across companies in the query interface or on the web?
Yes, you can definitely do that. You can actually go in and select multiple companies and it'll actually return a consolidated view, similar to what I was doing in the first dashboard in the that landing page or home page that I showed you. So that's standard functionality.
Excellent. I've not got any other flags for further questions, Donald, so I think you've done a tip-top job there. I just wanted to thank you, obviously, for your time today. It's been a very good snapshot into the power and capability of Sharperlight. As ever, we always welcome feedback after the webinar. So you can either contact Donald directly. I'm sure there's an avenue through the Sharperlight website for contact details. Alternatively, you're welcome to actually approach myself. My email address is darren.crawley@ascari.com. And it's just a very brief reminder, we run these webinars on a monthly basis. It's always at the same time of the month, the final Wednesday in each month at midday GMT. So please do keep an eye out for further publication of future broadcasts. We have our own dedicated LinkedIn page and Twitter feed for Cloud for Partners, which is available to the global Business One community. And of course, we welcome any of our regulars to join us again at the end of March. Once again, thank you very much, Donald. It's been a pleasure. I'm still checking for any additional questions, but none appear to have come through so far. But if there is anything else, I'm sure we can pick that offline. So have a great evening in Australia. I appreciate it. It's coming up to 8:30 there. And please allow me to thank you once again for your time and effort today, and also to our delegates. Thank you very much for taking time out to see us. One quick reminder, if you have colleagues who weren't available today to attend the session, we always record and publish the webinar series, each episode on the dedicated YouTube channel for Cloud for Partners. So please do feel free to pass any links for the video on to your colleagues there. And once again, thank you very much, and have a great afternoon or evening wherever you are in the world. Thank you.